Dearest gentle reader, how are you? Today we'll be talking about a best-selling author and her best-selling work, and it's Christian literature. Now, would you call yourself a Christian literature fan if you have not read any of Francine Weaver's books? Which of her books is your favorite? Tell me in the comment section. I have a whole collection of her books here, all Francine Weaver's, and I'm patiently waiting for the one that will be published next year. Can you guess the book we'll be talking about today? Take a wild guess. We'll be talking Redeeming Love. California's Gold Country, 1850, a time when men sold their souls for a bag of gold and women sold their bodies for a place to sleep. Angel expects nothing from men but betrayal. Sold into prostitution as a child, she survives by keeping her hatred alive. And what she hates most are the men who use her, leaving her empty and dead inside. Then she meets Michael Hosea, a man who seeks his father's heart in everything. Michael obeys God's call to marry Angel and to love her unconditionally. Slowly, day by day, he defies Angel's every bitter expectation until, despite her resistance, her frozen heart begins to thaw. But with her unexpected softening comes overwhelming feelings of unworthiness and fear, and so Angel runs back to the darkness, away from her husband's pursuing love, terrified of the truth she no longer can deny. Her final healing must come from the one who loves her even more than Michael does, the one who will never let her go. A powerful retelling of the story of Gomer and Hosea, Redeeming Love is a life-changing story of God's unconditional, redemptive, and all-consuming love. If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. It's a 9 over 10 for me, and the only reason it's a 9 over 10 is because she takes jab at Catholicism. Aside that, it's a 9 over 10. I highly recommend this book to every Christian literature fan, to every Christian who is a book lover, to married and single people. Redeeming Love. This best-selling Christian historical romance novel was first published in 1991 and has seen multiple editions and reprints since then. It's also been made into a movie starring the late Eric Dane, God rest his soul. Yes, I've seen the movie too. Redeeming Love is a historical Christian novel inspired by the biblical story of Hosea and Gomer, as we mentioned earlier. Set during the California gold rush in the 1850s, it follows the life of Angel, a woman who was abandoned as a child, sold into prostitution, and grows up believing she is unworthy of love. Michael Hosea, a deeply faithful farmer, believes God is calling him to marry Angel. Although she repeatedly rejects him and turns away, convinced that everyone eventually abandons or uses her, Michael continues to welcome her back with patience, compassion, and unwavering commitment. As the story unfolds, Angel confronts the trauma of her past, learns to trust, discovers her true identity beyond what others have done to her, and gradually comes to understand God's unconditional love. The novel ends not with a fairy tale romance, but with a picture of healing, forgiveness, and redemption. The themes that appeal to me in the book: redemption is a process, not a moment. Angel doesn't instantly become whole after meeting Michael. Her healing takes years, setbacks, and painful choices. Angel doesn't know what love is. Her childhood was scarred. She feels like she's an object to be used and discarded by men. So, what exactly does Michael want? Real transformation doesn't happen overnight, it happens gradually. 2. Trauma shapes identity until truth replaces it. Angel believes she is only what has happened to her. Her greatest prison isn't prostitution, it is the lie that she is beyond love. Who defines your worth? People, your past, or your creator? I mean, if you rely on what people say, today they praise you, tomorrow they insult you. I mean, why would you want to do that? There's this saying that if you don't know who you are, the world will call you anything and you will believe it. So, who are you? Do you let your past experiences define you? Do you let your sins, your flaws, do you let them define you? Or do you let the opinion of Chiche define you? I mean, who am I in the grand scheme of things? Who does God say you are? Who do you say you are? Love cannot force change. Michael loves Angel deeply, but he never manipulates or controls her into loving him. He learns that love invites, it doesn't imprison. Every person must freely choose healing, and none of them are easy. None. God's love isn't earned. One of the book's strongest messages is that God doesn't wait for people to become good enough. No. He meets us where we are. Moses was a stutterer. Peter had a temper and was impulsive, but to name a few. Michael mirrors God's love by loving Angel even before she changes. Good God, I could kill her and be glad of it. 70 times 7. Now that's God's voice. Michael is arguing or he's communicating or arguing with God. I don't want to listen to you. I'm sick of listening. You ask too much. It hurts. I mean, any Christian knows that God asks too much. What he asks of us, I mean, to turn the other cheek, to bear insults, to forgive 70 times 7. Can't you understand? Don't you know what she's done to me? 70 times 7. His eyes were hot with tears, his heart pounding like a war drum. She looked like a bedraggled child. Shadows lay dark beneath her blue eyes. Let her suffer. She deserved it. There was a mark on her neck that made him sick. She put her hand over it and turned her face away from him. He could almost see her shrinking. Maybe she had a tiny bit of conscience left. Maybe she did feel a little shame. Oh, but it would wear off soon and she'd be ready to cut him to ribbons again. I can't help how I feel, Lord. If I thought she could love me, maybe. As you have loved me, that's God asking. It's not the same. You're God, I'm only a man. You shouldn't have come to me, she said dully. You should never have come near me in the first place. That's right, blame me. Maybe she was right. He felt sick. Clenching his hand, he glared down at her. I said vows, and I'm going to stick by them no matter how much they're choking me right now. She looked up at him with bleak eyes. You don't have to. She shook her head. It'll work. I'll make it work. Didn't you promise, Lord? Or was I imagining it? Was she right all along and it was just sexual attraction? You're only fooling yourself, Angel said. You just don't understand. I never should have been born. Fool, Angel. You can't see what's right in front of your face. And then God responds, nor can you. This book is a difficult one, especially for those of us in relationships or marriages. You know, your spouse does something to you that hurts you, that breaks you down to pieces, and then 70 times 7. Regardless of the sin, 70 times 7. Forgiveness does not erase consequences. I mean, we all know this by now, right? Angel is forgiving, but her scars remain. She still has painful memories and difficult relationships. The novel distinguishes between being forgiving, being healed, and rebuilding a life. All her carefully planned words fled. So many words to say a simple, heartfelt thing. I love you and I'm sorry. She could not speak. The tears that had been frozen inside her all her life came, and the last bastion melted away in a flood. Weeping, Angel sank to her knees. Hot tears fell on his boots. She wiped them away with her hair. She bent over, heartbroken, and put her hands on his feet. Oh, Michael, Michael, I'm sorry. Oh, God, forgive me. She felt his hand on her head. My love, he said. He took hold of her and drew her up again. She couldn't look into his face, wanting to hide her own. Michael took off his shirt and put it around her shoulders. When he tipped her chin up, She had no choice but to look into his eyes again. They were wet like hers, but filled with light. I hoped you would come home someday, he said, and smiled. This was her running away for like the 100th time. Forgiveness is not easy, oh. If we tell ourselves the truth, it is not easy, but that is what our faith demands of us. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Shame is the real villain. Do you think prostitution is Angel's greatest struggle? I don't think it is. Her deepest battle is shame. She constantly believes, I am dirty, I am beyond saving, I am unlovable. Shame is often more destructive than sin itself because it convinces people not to seek grace, convinces you not to seek confession, and it convinces us not to seek forgiveness. You know how you want to go to confession and you're thinking, the priest knows me. What will he think of me? What if the priest says, Chichi, you've come again with this same sin that you confessed the last time? You know, all those things are just our minds playing games on us, making us fear the sacrament. When really, a saint is not someone who has never fallen. A saint is someone who falls and keeps rising. He falls and he rises again and again. Obedience isn't always comfortable. Not for Jesus, not for Moses, not for Jonah, not for me, not for Hosea. But listen, if we go to the Bible, we will see instances where obedience was a struggle. Obedience isn't always comfortable. Michael's marriage isn't based on romance at first, it's based on obedience to God. The book explores the cost of following God's calling when it doesn't make sense to others. You know, in asking, well, let's drift a little bit to the Bible. In asking Hosea to marry Gomer, God was trying to show him how fickle our love for him is. You know, today we're all fervent. We're all, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And in the very next second, we're committing sin. We're doing those things that we said or we promised that we will not do again. Which is why when you go to the confessional, the priest always says it is by God's grace. And then when you say the act of contrition, by the help of your grace, I will not sin again. Because if it is by your own power, the moment you walk out of that confessional, you're probably falling into the sin. We are all in need of God's grace, and it is available to everyone. Now, this was at the beginning when Michael was obeying the voice of God. He went to the brothel. Apparently, to even get the angel, you had to pay more than to get the regular prostitutes there. And that is Michael obeying the voice of God, asking him to seek Angel out and wife her. Healing often requires community. We're not meant to do life alone. No one should do life alone. Although Michael plays a major role, Angel also grows through relationships with other women who model kindness, faith, and healthy living. What do you model? Who are your friends? What do your friends model? You know that famous saying, show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. Who are you? Who are your friends? What kind of friends do you keep? Human love points to divine love. Michael's love is symbolic of God's love. He isn't portrayed as a perfect husband, so much as a picture of God's persistent love, pursuing, forgiving, waiting, and restoring. The romance is ultimately meant to direct readers towards a spiritual message. There's this song. Oh, he chases me down, fight still and found leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never ending, reckless love of God. The first time I heard that song, it was at the office. A colleague of mine loved that song so much, she was always playing it. And then the first time I heard it, I fell in love with it. I even have the one, Mike, what's his name again? I can't remember the singer, but he also did another one with Tori Kelly. I have both versions on my phone. So this is what it is. Human love pointing to divine love, and God's love is relentless. It pursues us. Our hearts are restless until they rest in Him, like St. Augustine says. So whether we like it or not, we all have a void in us that cannot be filled, that cannot be satisfied with anything apart from God. Check it. You need money. I want to be the richest person in the world. You're the richest person in the world, but you still have that void. I want to be a successful academician. You're a successful academician, but there's still that void in your life. Oh, I want to be a very good mother. Yes, you're an accomplished mother. Your children are well trained. They're doing you proud, but there is a void still that only God can fill. Freedom includes the ability to walk away. Michael eventually stops chasing Angel and allows her to make her own decisions. This is significant. The novel suggests genuine love respects freedom even when it risks rejection. I mean, God could have made it easy and not given us free will. He could have said, okay, I've created man to worship me, to serve me, to love me all the days of their lives and into eternity. But no, he said, no, I will give them free will. I want them to choose to love me, and it's such a beautiful gift because it gives us the freedom to choose. At its heart, redeeming love is less about a romance and more about God's relentless pursuit of broken people. I'm a broken person, you're a broken person, yet God pursues us. Angel's journey illustrates that no past is too painful and no person is too far gone with divine mercy. No, even if your sin is as red as scarlet, it cannot outdo the mercy of God. Whatever it is that you have done, whatever sin you have committed, whatever you think that is unforgivable. I mean, if you're thinking like that, you're undermining God's mercy. And that is why I don't joke with the divine mercy. I'm such a devotee of the divine mercy. Yeah, the 3 o'clock prayer, 3 a.m., 3 p.m. The novena begins on Good Friday into and ends on Saturday. That's on Easter Saturday, and then the feast of divine mercy, the Sunday after Easter Sunday. I have a testimony for that divine mercy. Maybe I'll share it one day. But the divine mercy, I know that by myself I cannot do good. So I always, always, always trust in God's mercy. And that's what this book reminds us to do. It is God's grace, it is His mercy. And is it by your power that you're here right now listening to this? No. God has given us life. And He's so merciful that He gives us chance after chance after chance. But one day His justice must prevail. So now that we have, now that we can make the most of it, let us rely on God's mercies. Your identity, my identity, is not determined by wounds or mistakes, but by being loved and redeemed by God. One of the book's enduring message is your past may explain you, but it doesn't have to define you. Your past doesn't have to define you. Yesterday is gone. Today is a gift. Tomorrow you do not know. So today, choose you this day whom you shall serve, whom you shall love. Will you love God or will you love the world? Tell me about this man, Hosea. Her muscles tensed. Why do you want to know about him? Just curious, my dear. Maybe talking of Michael would give her the strength to resist whatever came. He's a farmer. A farmer? Duke said, surprised and amused again. And did you learn to plow, Angel? This is it. You know how when you've made up your mind to do or to surrender to Jesus, and then the devil comes with his guns loaded. Angel, can you milk a cow and sew a fine seam? Did you enjoy having dirt under your fingernails? He took her hand, turning it palm up. She remained passive. Calluses, he said in disgust, and let her go. I mean, getting her palms dirty or getting nails under her dirt is is worse than being a prostitute. And that's the society we live in today. Everybody is packaging. Everybody is, oh, what can I get in return? What can I do in return? Rather than soil their hands, rather than wait, rather than let life take its due course, rather than put in the work, and rather than sow now and reap later. Everybody wants fast hustle. I want it now. I want it now. I want it. I want to get rich quick. Forgetting that it takes years. It takes sacrifice. It takes sweat. He slapped her and she reeled back. Straightening, she saw something in his face that had made her less afraid. She wasn't sure what it was, but he didn't look so in command of himself or the situation. Tell me all, my dear, she did. Did you love him? I still love him. I'll always love him. He's the only good thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and I'll cling to that until I die. And now this is I'm going to talk of unrequited love or love in relationships where one person feels I'm not getting the kind of love I give back. It doesn't go wasted. Like there's an analogy a colleague of mine gave me. You know how water, a rock kind of stops water from moving, but the water is persistent. It keeps pushing back. It keeps pushing back until one day, it goes through that hardened rock. So that is it. Well, even the hardened heart will soften eventually. Now, redeeming love. It also has questions at the behind it. Basically, for you to ask yourself, maybe study group, for those that do study group, Bible study group, and in this case, novel study group, which character do you identify with the most and why? I'd say I identify with Angel. I understand her. I also understand Michael. So, Redeeming Love, if you haven't read it, please go get a copy. I am not giving out this one. No way. I cannot give out this book. I cannot. I'm sorry. I cannot. Maybe I could borrow it out, but I could never give it out. Because like I said, I keep coming back to it time and time again. And I know I will still read it a couple of more times before I die. So, Redeeming Love, will you read? Don't forget to follow, to share, to like, and to subscribe. Let me know in the comment section which of Francine Rivers' books you've read. Thank you for watching. Bye. That's all. Mommy, you're done. Yes, I'm done. Yes, I'm done.